Hey guys, so welcome back to my channel. It's your favorite vegan friend, Cece Marie. That is me. So hey guys, so it's wedding week and I want to tell you guys my whole wedding of planning for during a pandemic. So as you guys know, I recently got married. Happily married, yay. I got married on August 8th, so 8/8, easy anniversary to remember. That's why I did it. It holds no significance for me and my husband. It's not a special date. It was just an easy anniversary date to remember because we had so many other dates and days and it's just a lot to remember. So I just figured 8/8, boom, done. So we got married here in Oregon at Horning's Hideout. Beautiful location. Love the location. I wanted more of like a forest type wedding and I felt like that was as close as I was going to get to a forest type wedding. So I'm gonna like move over so I can share some pictures here. But it was as close as I was going to get to a forest type wedding without actually being in the forest and without having like porta potties per se. So not knocking anyone that's ever had porta potties at their wedding. I just didn't want that. So Horning's Hideout was where I went. We looked at the venue, totally fell in love with the venue, and they had my date. So I was like, this is like meant to be. But before we had went there, we did go to another venue that we were going to book actually, but I wanted to check out one more venue, which was Horning's Hideout, and totally fell in love with it. So we booked them for 8/8 of last year. We booked them last year for this year for 8/8. And planning the wedding was pretty easy. I started planning like as soon as I got engaged. Like as soon as I got engaged, tongue tied, come on Cece. As soon as I got engaged, I started planning. I know a lot of people were like, wait, just enjoy it being engaged, like, you know, enjoy the moment and blah blah blah. Honey, sis, I wasn't trying to do that. I went straight to planning because, as you guys know, when the pandemic happened last year, a lot of weddings got pushed into 2021. Plus, people that were getting engaged in 2020, like myself, were planning their wedding for 2021. So not only did I had to like compete with people that were getting engaged in 2020, I also had to compete with people that had to push their wedding back into 2021. So I started planning right away. I started like looking at venues because normally venues are like the first thing to go because as soon as you get your venue, you have your date, you know, and then things start trickling down to like getting your vendors, your photographer, and things like that. So when we were looking at venues, a lot of them was like, yeah, you better hurry up because we're already like booking for 2021 and getting filled up. And so I'm like panicking, thinking like, oh my gosh, like what if I don't find the right venue and blah blah blah. So I was happy when I started planning early. My biggest advice is just get your venue right away, because that's one of the things that does go fast. If you're not really particular on how like what kind of venue you want, then by all means. But if you're like me where you know what you want and you're picturing what you want, book it right away. So yeah, so we booked the venue and everything happened, and then everything started trickling down to where I started like booking. We booked our photographer, our original photographer, and that's going to be a whole nother video because that is a story in itself, but not to get into detail with that. But I booked our photographer for our engagement and our wedding. I got our catering done. Like by the time 2020 was over, I pretty much booked everything. Like we got everything squared away. We got our catering squared away. We got our DJ squared away, our wedding coordinator / wedding planner squared away. Decor we didn't get until like the next year, but then our original photographer, that plan fell through, so we had to scramble to get another photographer, which thank God we did, and we loved her. Our engagement pictures came out beautifully, as you can see. Loved her. Wedding pictures, awesome, beautiful. And then in 2021 we wound up also booking a videographer as well. So that was easy. I think my overall experience with my wedding was not stressful planning it, because I had a really awesome wedding planner that really helped square everything away, and I'm pretty organized when it comes to events. I was good at like just getting everything in order and getting everything dealt away. I knew what we wanted. Like, we both wanted something that was relaxed and casual, nothing over the top, nothing fancy, because it just wasn't us. Like, that wasn't our style per se. So we knew we wanted something that was more casual, something that was just more relaxing. So yeah, so we got a lot of things squared away as far as by the time 2021 had hit. Yeah, by the time 2021 came into fruition, I guess. So once we got all that squared away, I went dress shopping with my mom back on the East Coast. And I found one dress that I was really liking, but I really wanted to check out this shop in Oregon called Blue Sky and Blue Sky Bridal. Awesome place. If you guys want to check them out, I'll post their information down below, and all my vendors, and venues down below for you guys, because they were like the A team of A teams. Like, I can't really like complain about any of them, because they really made our day special, especially our wedding planner. Like, she was on her job. Like, there was a thing that happened with our bartender, and needless to say, she wound up coming that day because her household caught COVID, which is understandable, but there was a lack of communication with her communicating that to our wedding planner, and I wish she would have did it at least the day before, or a couple days before. Because I feel like at that point, if you're getting tested for COVID, you should know that you most likely won't be making it to the wedding. But anyway, so she didn't show up that day, and because where our venue is, like, cell phone reception is kind of like non-existent, but I was able to keep in contact with my coordinator and wedding planner, because she called me a couple of times and texted me the day of the wedding a couple of times. But anyway, we didn't notice until like after the ceremony. We were getting ready to take our like just married pictures and things like that, and I was just like freaking out, because I'm like, well, what are we going to do? This is not a dry wedding. Like, we didn't say it was a dry wedding. Like, we didn't even have like sodas or water. Like, we had water, but we didn't even have like juices or anything for the guests. So she jumped into action. Our groomsmen, thank God for them. Like, my husband's best man, like, they jumped into action. They went to a liquor store, and just brung like back just beer and wines and things like that for the guests, and drinks for the guests. So let me just tell you, a day that could have went bad or not great turned to be like just knowing who your friends are, and just knowing that people are going to jump in to help. And so I really just want to shout out our wedding coordinator / wedding planner, Sweety, from Event Cracker Portland. I'll put her information down below. She is just amazing. And I also want to shout out our bridal party, because they jumped into action. Like, we didn't even have to ask them. Like, they just was like, okay, I'll go get it. Like, what do you need? Blah, blah, blah. So thank you guys, because without them, and without our vendors and family and friends, like, our day wouldn't have been as special as it was. But needless to say, like, our wedding was just great. You know, besides that little thing that happened with the bartender, like, everything else was just great. It ran smoothly. We had a good DJ that just played music, and like, you know, it was just awesome. So I can't really like, I don't have any like big complaints about my wedding. Like, I wasn't stressed out the day of. I was tired because I had to like finish some stuff, decorating and stuff, but like, I wasn't stressed out the day of. Our makeup artists, they came, they did the makeup. It was beautiful. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I just wasn't stressed. I know I hear a lot of stories of how brides are like stressed out their day of the wedding and things like that. But yeah, I really wasn't stressed. I really wasn't like anxious or anything like that. I will say it was a very fast day, and when people say like you don't even really remember that day because it just goes by so fast, it really does. Because let me tell you, from the morning I got up to the night that I laid my head down next to my husband, that day went by so fast. Like, I really don't even remember like too much of what really happened. I know we got pulled a lot to take pictures, and other than that, I know I sat down. I didn't really eat because I really wasn't hungry, because I just wasn't hungry. I really just wanted to just, I don't know, I just wasn't hungry. But after the wedding, I ate because I was starving. So I don't know whether it was like my nerves or because maybe I was stressed out, but I just didn't know it. I just wasn't hungry. So, yeah, so I just think I really loved our wedding. I really loved everything that we planned, and planning during a pandemic, it wasn't, I've heard stories of brides being stressed out planning their wedding during a pandemic, but I think we lucked out because the only stressed out thing that I was worried about during planning, it was that we had to cut our guest list, unfortunately. So we just did family and friends initially, but then once the vaccine had came out and it looked like things were getting a little bit better, we had opened our guest list back up to our friends, because that's who we actually cut out the guest list, just because we didn't at the time know. And this was like around January or March, we had cut down our guest list, because we wasn't 100% sure with the way that things were going with COVID. We just didn't want to run the risk of people getting sick while coming out to celebrate with us. So we were just like, let's just cut it now, because people are probably going to start buying their plane tickets, and I would hate for people to buy their plane tickets and they can't get their money back, things like that. So we were just trying to be thoughtful and considerate of people, because everybody was flying from the East Coast to our wedding. So in that regards, we were just trying to be considerate. But thankfully, COVID, I'm not going to say it got better, but when the vaccine came out, it seemed like things were getting better. So we had decided to open up our guest list back up to our friends. And we pretty much just told them, like, hey, if you can't make it, we totally understand. Like, we know this is last minute. And thankfully, some of our friends and my co-workers were able to come. So I was very grateful for that. So we were very grateful for that. We know that everybody in our guest list was vaccinated. So that was good and very, reassuring that we know that hopefully people wouldn't get sick. And because it was outdoors, we also felt comfortable with opening up our guest list back up to people. So we took that in consideration, and so it made it a lot more enjoyable just to celebrate with our friends and celebrate with our family, and just to have people there with us. I will say my number one advice for anyone that is still planning their wedding during COVID: don't stress. It's just a day. It's just a day, but your marriage is forever. Like, your marriage is going to be what you're going to work towards and what you're going to remember the most, besides just one day that you're actually getting married. I think that would be like my biggest advice, because at one point I was getting annoyed. So I wasn't stressing out too bad with the planning, but at one point I was getting annoyed with what happened with our original photographer, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just about to cancel his wedding and elope. But I didn't want to, because I really wanted to celebrate with my family and friends. And me being the only girl, like, I knew that this would be my dad's only chance to walk me down the aisle. So I didn't really want to cancel it or elope or anything like that. But that would be my number one advice. If you're planning it, just try not to stress. I know it's easier said than done, but try not to stress, because it's just one day, and your marriage is going to be forever, and you're marrying the person that you love and that you want to spend the rest of your life with, and that you want to go through life with. So one day, don't stress. Just get it done, get it over. It's going to be beautiful. You're going to be beautiful. So I think that would be my number one advice. But that's how our wedding went. I'll show you guys a video once it gets here. Very excited to see that. And I'll show you guys some more pictures at the end of this video. But yeah, that's pretty much how my wedding went. It was really fun, really relaxing. It went smoothly, besides the little hiccup that happened with the bartender. But yeah, other than that, I don't have any regrets about our wedding. I loved it. It was everything that I wanted, everything that we envisioned, because I would say we, but my husband didn't really care. He was just like, long as I had this and this and this. Anything else, he really didn't care. I mean, I asked for his opinion, but guys don't really care too much. They're just like, just tell me what day and what time to be there, and I'm there. But yeah, it was beautiful, and yeah, I can't really complain too much. So yeah, so that's all I had today, just telling you guys how my wedding went, how planning during a pandemic went, or planning during COVID went. If you guys have any questions down below about my wedding or want to know anything else, let me know and I'll create content for that. But yeah, as always guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the journey, and I'll see you guys next time. Alright guys, bye.